enough room for me in here too?
Oh yeah.
What's up, guys? Your two favorite jabronis back for another episode with this shiny new minty Axial SCX6 that we picked up on such a good deal. We won't even tell you about it, but anyhow, we are gonna completely ruin this truck from the get-go. I'm actually going to save this body for a backup for my body, and we have a donor body from our friend Doug. Check him out. He's got a YouTube channel, MotorFab. Check him out. MotorFab. I'll put a link into it anyway. Check it out. He gave us a green body that he had some cracks in. We've got big plans, like we're telling you in the last video. So anyhow, we need to get this guy broke down, start going over it head to toe. It is a brand new unit. It's going to need all the rudimentaries, or whatever you want to call it, that the other one's got. We're going to have to shim the axles. We're going to have to just basically go through it. That's a wicked flat spot. It's been sitting for a long time. But hey, that means it's fresh, it's new, not a scratch on it. All the goo is leaking out of the transmission. That stuff is nasty. I don't know what it is, but I feel a cat here too now. Do we even have a cat? I don't think I have a cat. Probably joking. Anyhow, nice choice unit. We're going to do everything that we've done to our 3 trucks that we have already to this one. Minus this guy is going to get a full custom cage front to back. We're going to take it from a 4-door, stretch it into a long wheelbase 2-door. It's going to look epic. We're going to use the front clip on it until I can figure out something for the front grille. I was thinking about getting a template done and then getting it laser cut, but it's not going to have the recessed headlights, and I just don't think it's going to look good enough to just put the plate on the front. I think it's going to look cheesy. So we're going to use the front clip over top of the cage. It's going to have exposed areas. We're going to build our own shock towers. We're going to come up through it. We're going to lower it that way instead. It's going to be epic. So this will probably be 3, 4, 19 part video. So basically, we need to go out to the shop, strip this guy down, get rid of all this plastic on here. We're going to leave the wheels for reference points so we can shape our cage and everything around it, but we're going to drop it down. Pieces of these might go back in later, but I really don't think so. We'll probably just make all the panels out of thin aluminum. It can look really good that way. We're going to do, of course, the build first, and then we'll come back through and we'll do the transmission and the shims and the grease in another video just pertaining to that stuff, because it's already been done and it's not as exciting as the build. Now, we were going to use stainless steel, but we're not sponsored, we're not rich, so we're going to use steel, because stainless steel was going to cost us like $900 for all this stainless DOM tubing. So we've got a couple different sizes of steel rod. It's going to be an absolute pig when it's done. We're probably going to throw, I was thinking 10, but that's a small truck, easily 20 pounds of steel at this thing. So let's see where it goes from there. Yeah, we're going to have to fight that with more weight in the front, more weight in the wheels to keep the top end down. There's a whole science behind having a heavy rig, so it's just going to get heavier. We're going to do what we can to make it the best truck we can possible. Now, these trucks being heavy, they act different than our tent scales. They have the weight to plant these big old boots. Go back and check some of our videos. You can see our best looking honcho in the world doing some dirty work, climbing up some loose gravel and stuff, where a 10 scale just will not go. So anyhow, let's make this big heavy pig look really good and see what it can do. Okay, boys, we are in, oh, and girls, we're in the shop today. You never really see one of these guys in my hand too often. You know my feelings, I really don't like them, but I got a really nice one anyway. It's even got a scope light on. Pow! Anyhow, scissors and that body ain't gonna mix. You're just gonna make a mess. You need a Dremel. Chop it out. We're gonna start here. I don't know if I'm gonna keep the windshield. Bring it down. We might just keep the cowl and build an open type cage. What are your thoughts, McPherson? Start with that and then work our way down, decide after?
Yeah, keep the windshield for now.
Yeah, it's easier to make.
Easier to cut off later.
It's harder to put it back on.
Yeah.
I think that's what they say. Measure
once.
What?
Cut 7 times.
Get on my level.
Perfect.
Perfect. Let's go. So if you buy one of these awesome Dremel Easy Law cutting set. It comes with 2 mandrels and a bunch of blades. You'll get thin cut metal, and plastic blades. Today we're rocking the plastic blade on a lower RPM, pretty much 15 million is the number we're starting at. Anything else that you notice I'm just touching and moving, you don't want to build heat and melt the plastic. You won't cut it, you melt it, just make a mess. Crap line. Just keep working at it, go all the way around for each one, cut it again. You can even just wiggle it, break it off, clean it up after. Okay, I'm gonna show you back to work. See what I mean? Easy mo cheesy. Okay, so pretty much rinse and repeat, you guys. Don't have to cut all the way through. Nippy, 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 rippy, rippy. Let's rip across the top, the other side. We'll jump back in here once we have that off. We put it on the front of that truck. It's gonna look hilarious, and then we'll start mopping. Mopping?
Mopping.
Mocking everything up. Okay, so as I just showed you guys there, cut around nicely, rip it out, get it nice. You're gonna end up with all this chaff on the end. You can just roll it off pretty nice. Sand that out. Get a shape you want. This guy can, we'll save that guy for another project. Scoop or something. I don't know what we'll use. But anyway, decent body. We're gonna sand it and paint it on the outside. It doesn't matter. We're gonna trim these guys off. We're not gonna run fenders on it, I don't think. We're not gonna run fenders on it because it's just not the style we're going for. We're gonna rip those off. The main reason I wanted to get this off is pretty much where I'm gonna start my build from, is laying in my first hoop. Should I use a different finger? Sorry. Laying in my first hoop all the way around so I can follow this. Once I get that, I got my width on the bottom where I want to be. I'll also measure that with the existing rock sliders on this fancy new chassis that looks out of place in this dirty, dirty garage. But anyhow, we want to make sure we land pretty much right down here, We are going to weld the rock sliders right to the chassis and the cage right to that. It's going to be completely built onto the truck, non-removable. So we'll have to plan where we're going to put a battery and all that stuff so we can get it. We still need to be able to remove the transmission, so we have to have a big enough back window or side window where we can lift it up and out. We might have to pull the motor off first and then take it out, being there with other cagers. It's kind of what you run into on it. Then we're going to get out the Spectrum stock servo. It's a great unit for something, but not this truck. We're going to huck it out. We're going to drop an NSD-RC 2500 Beast V2 in there and a bunch of other trick parts. We're going to swap out the plastic axles for some aluminums and all that stuff. But for now, I'm going to keep focused on the build, and we'll get this cage done, and then we'll go down that road. It's going to be an awesome build. Okay, so we kind of took a few extra steps ahead here. We'll give you guys a quick update and catch up on it. We wanted to get the body sitting lower on the chassis, lower the body gap between there, but it was a little bit of a tight fit with the fake engine. So we decided to kind of cut and put it out. It's kind of getting there. It looks a little janky, like busted teeth right now, but we'll kind of play with that. We're just getting it to fit. It fits in there nice, kind of helps hold it in position too, which is kind of cool. If you do choose to do this, the center of the engine is actually, is it 5 or 7 millimeters over to the driver's side. So it's a little bit off center on there. You can't really tell, but you can if you know what you're looking at. So my center mark is there, but it's actually about there where this is. So you can see it there. So it's 7 millimeters off. So if you're fighting with it, if you mark it out like we did, we obviously sanded it clear so we could see what we were doing, and then we just spread a little bit of oil on there actually, so it would be shiny. You can see through it, and we traced it out and cut it out. But yeah, it's center line's there, and we're kind of like, why is this not fitting? Why does everything seem like it's off? That's the answer. So for the side of the body, we cut this down from here to here, 80 millimeters, I believe the measurement was on that, and that gives us a nice low stance, also known as a good starting point to start mocking up the cage. You kind of want to get your cowl piece, which you're going to build from, kind of the look of the front of the shape of your vehicle, and then kind of go from there. We didn't want to leave it full height and put the cage in. We want to go for more really sporty kind of comp style truck. So start with that. Then we started bending some steel with the paint chipping off really badly. Let me get stabbed by lead paint right now. This is the Mighty rod bender off Amazon. Just kind of clamps in your vise. Comes with a bunch of different dies. Pretty simple. Pro tip: we'll show you a little bit of bending later, some techniques, what we're doing to help you out. But just some pro tips now. Clamp your material on this side, and if you're doing 2 at a time, weld them together. I just put a quick tack on them. Then we can bend 2 pieces at the same time so they're symmetrical. And also clamp your part on, like just with a pair of vice grips before the block so it can't roll, and that we always get a nice pull on the dies. You can change the dies, different sizes, all that stuff. Pretty cool, pretty simple. Works great for rod, not so much for tubing. It'll just king tubing, so more of a rod bender. So.
Hence the name.
Hence the name, Mighty Rod Bender. Okay guys, so as we were just discussing, we took this piece of rod, actually 2 pieces side by side, come the same length, welded them together, and ran it through our Mighty Rod Bender to end up with the starting part of the cage. You want to build the box in the middle, get that mounted, and then build out everything front and rear from there. Simplest way to do it. And we used a angle finder. You're gonna need one. This is a true angle. I don't know, I picked this up somewhere. I can't remember, somewhere online. It was pretty cheap, a really good tool. Gives you your angles. Little wing nut, lock it in, pretty cool. I use this in full-size tube bending. It also has places you can put marker through it too and stuff. Really cool, really like this piece. And basically, yeah, we just measured out our different angles. And what you want to do for that with this guy, which is really nice, is it has a thin blue line that runs through the middle, not the pulleys, just a thin blue line. And you can actually hold that on your 2 planes to actually find out where your center point of your bend will be. We learned our center point of bend was right there, and that way we can line everything up and get a true measurement. Pretty cool how that works out in the end. There's different types. We recommend the clear with the blue stripe through it like that. It could be different color. I don't know. It doesn't have to be blue, but we recommend this one. It also bends too. It's kind of cool. Pretty versatile. Measured out all the angles, and then we transfer that onto a piece of cardboard, also known as CAD, Cardboard Assisted Design. That's how we do it. No computers necessary. So we did our measurements from our base plate X to here. We have 100 millimeters of rise. We have 100 millimeters of rise. Now with the Mighty Rod Bender, yeah, so you need to pretty much kind of like drop your rod in like that. You know, that way it's going to pull and bend, right? So if you imagine a line here, is the word imaginary? Yeah. If you imagine a line here and a line through here, and you measure that distance, for our setup with the die that's in the middle, it's 35 millimeters. So you mark your rod at 35 millimeter, and you know if you line that up with that invisible line that you're doing at a 90 degree off that back pin. This is the pin that just stays stationary that holds the rod from flipping out. So if you mark that there, you know your bend's gonna end up perfectly every time. So just a quick tip, measure that out, and yeah. Okay, from there, we got our measurements up from here to here, 100 millimeters, here to here, 100 millimeters with the bend, worked out perfectly. We marked it, we subtracted 35, right? Then we bent it, simple enough. From there, we measured 90 millimeters over, 130 bend, and then a 90 degree bend down with a 165 millimeter overall upright. And that will bring us to something along the lines of this guy will be sitting inside, right about there. So now we are losing the windshield. The windshield's got to go. The sticker's put on crooked. It's just not part of it. I'm just kind of using it for the template to help lining everything up, and then we're going to chop it off after. A little bit of work, square that off. We are going to build a rock slider on the frame, but we're going to weld it onto the frame higher than the bends so we can achieve an overall higher plate rock slider. And then we're going to plate it underneath with thin steel back down to the frame. So We're not going to use soft steel. We'll use something a little bit harder, tin, maybe some thin cold rolled or something like that. We can use something that's hard to slide on the rock. It's a heavy truck, so yeah. What else can we say? Pro tips. We've already got a couple pieces kind of ready. This is the side that goes on the other side. Now I am putting everything together with our MIG welder with a couple quick tacks to hold it, and then I'll come back over and we'll TIG weld it together. Very simple. This is $1,000 cheapo setup with everything, tank and all, right? About $1,000. Very simple. 110. You can run that wherever you want. Okay, guys. So we took two pieces of this a little bit fatter. I think it's like 1/4 inch or 5/16 rod. A very high quality steel rod. Nice material to make our sliders on the outside from. Now I took the stock battery tray, all that out, but before I took it out, I kind of extended the rock slider all the way out, used it as a template so I can get this guy in there true level to the frame and on a higher angle we wanted. Now I ground it really quickly with our little homemade grinder sander deal that we made. You can actually buy them now from Milwaukee. It's really nice little belt sander. Get in there, hit the frame 2 spots, quickly tack welded it on. We're just going to leave that one MIG welded on. It's not really going to be seen too much or whatnot. So those globby ugly welds are fine in there. So pretty much, as we said, bend 2 pieces if you can at a time. So we've bent up 2 pieces. Now this guy is going to get transferred onto the other side, an exact same angle. And then from there, we can build our box, start laying these pieces in, figure everything out. This is the exterior rail, so there'd be actually another rail of a smaller size that's going to get welded inside, because this guy actually sits like that. So he has a little bit sticks out, another little rail there. These guys are going to mount onto that rail, pretty much sit in there, about there. Went a little bit farther back so we get a nice transition with carrying a rock right to the back. We are going to add another support into the middle of this to help keep it sturdy, and we're going to plate the bottom like we said earlier, so they're going to be really beefy. Unfortunately, this truck is going to weigh half a ton, but that's something different, something fun. So okay, so that's where we're going to cut the video off today. It's a lot of information to absorb. We're going to come back with part 2 that's just going to focus on building the cage and the design of that and what we come up with, and then we'll go into part 3, which will be the upgrades, the aluminum parts and bits and aluminum axles and all the stuff that we need to make the truck solid. Shim the gears, all that good stuff. Change out the grease to cow RC grease instead of this mystery goo that's leaking out of the bottom. It's sticky, then it's gross. But anyhow, we'll see you on the next one.